Coca-Cola normal y Coca-Cola cero. Coca-Cola light, 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 Coca-Cola normal y Coca-Cola cero.
So many Coca-Colas to choose from. Do I go light or zero or normal? Oh, Mr. Coca-Cola, please be my guide. I don't know what I want. Help me decide.
Coca-Cola light,
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Coca-Cola normal
Oh, yeah, yeah,
y
yeah.
Coca-Cola cero.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola light,
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Coca-Cola normal
Oh, yeah, yeah,
y
yeah.
Coca-Cola cero.
Maybe I should be a good boy and do it right. They say that there is way less sugar in Coca-Cola Light, but I don't care about what the people say. If I could, I would pick normal every day.
Coca-Cola light,
No, thank you.
Coca-Cola normal
Yeah.
y Coca-Cola cero.
No, 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 no.
Coca-Cola light,
No, thank you.
Coca-Cola normal
Yeah.
y Coca-Cola cero.
Bring me the normal.
Coca-Cola light,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Coca-Cola normal y Coca-Cola cero.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Coca-Cola light,
Oh, no.
Coca-Cola normal
Yes,
y
please.
Coca-Cola cero.
Coca-Cola Light, Coca-Cola normal, Coca-Cola cero. Coca-Cola Light, Coca-Cola normal, Coca-Cola cero.
Coca-Cola light, Coca-Cola normal y Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola light. You know
I
something,
thought that
Whimsy?
was, you know why I picked
What?
that song?
Why did you pick
I,
that?
I just got back from Mexico, and I
Mhm.
swear it's a country that's run by Coca-Cola
I
Light.
know. I've been there.
Coca-Cola. Oh yeah, did you notice all the Coca-Cola? Man, do they love
I sure
Coca-Cola over
did.
there?
Well, you know, it was coincidental because I was in Palm Springs this weekend for memorial service. I don't drink soft drinks. I never touched that crap, but I had
Right.
my first Dr. Pepper in maybe 25 years. I was like an alcoholic having alcohol again. It was like, oh my God, I forgot how much I love Dr. Pepper. I could drink these endlessly. I thought, no,
Yes,
stop that.
they're
Stop that.
delicious. Well, you can get
Yeah.
the I don't know, maybe you don't like the sugar-free ones. I mean, once in a
Yeah.
blue
Well, I'm not
moon,
thinking,
it's
but
not
I'm
gonna
just
hurt.
thinking about
It's
all the
such
other
a
stuff.
small
Yeah.
amount of aspartame. Once in a while, it's not gonna hurt you.
I
Your
guess
liver can
once in a
handle it,
while, if I
unless
can
you've got
discipline
liver
myself.
disease.
Yeah. But I
So
don't know if I can stop at one. That's the problem. You know.
really, but a sugar-free? You don't like the sugar-free?
No, I just meant
Little bit.
Dr. Pepper in general, whether it be sugar free. It's just I had my
I
first
do.
taste. You know.
I love Dr. Pepper, and I do it
Yeah.
with. I have the sugar-free, but when I was in Mexico, Everybody was just straight Coca-Cola, straight Coca on the beaches, on this, that, and ever. It was Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola like. And then they see American and they're like, Coca-Cola like, no, give me the Mexican Coke with a pour
Yeah.
with 8 tablespoons of sugar. I want it in my
And
veins
cane
right
sugar
now.
at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I want it in my veins. I want the thrill of along. It's like a speedball, the sugar and the caffeine.
It's like, yeah, put an IV in my arm.
Yeah, it's like, so I understand you saying that it's like a drug addiction.
Yes. Yes.
So listen, how has your weeks been? I was gone and people were like, where's Taco Tuesday?
I know. I've missed it myself. In fact, last week, I hadn't looked at your schedule and I didn't realize you were still en route traveling.
Yeah.
And I was like preparing for the show on Tuesday. And I thought, well, Whimsy hasn't sent me anything today. I wonder why. And then I actually logged on at 4:45, hoping you were going to be there, and you weren't. And then I texted you, oh, we're not doing a show today, are we? And you said, of course not. I'm traveling. And then we couldn't do it the week before because you were also traveling. But I've missed this very much, and I've missed you.
Oh, well, that feels good. That feels good indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you have been watching the news at all, but there seems to be a civil war. Oh, before we get started, I wanted to go right into this, and I need to watch myself. How are you doing? I don't think you have. Have I sent you the new book yet?
No, you haven't.
Okay, could you remind me of that?
I will. I'm reminding you right now.
When I take care of my other business with you today, I will remind me of this as well. All right. Our new book of the month, I need to make an announcement, is In Search of the Sun, One Woman's Quest to Find Family in Japan. It's so weird. We have 2 books in a row on Japan, one of my favorite countries to visit. Lisa Lowitz is the author. But today is going to be special. Do you know why, Chuck?
Well, I do.
You want to tell the audience what's going on today?
Well, this was an interview we were going to do about a month ago, but the author, Trisha, was traveling and couldn't do it. So we're going to have her on today. So you and I both have a lot of questions and preparation, and we're very excited about talking to her. We spoke with her briefly before the show. She's fascinating.
Absolutely fascinating. It's one of those conversations I think half an hour won't do justice. You want to tell the audience a little bit about what the book's about?
Well, it's a story of a young girl who had multiple personalities. She did this because she was ripped away from her homeland, ripped away from her mother, a lot of trauma at a very early age. And to cope with this, she started creating multiple personalities, much like many of us as children create fantasy worlds, fantasy friends. And it's about how she grew up and how her mother had to work with the child and to help her to get therapy, to integrate all of this together.
Yeah. And also that was a family of origin of abuse. We'll go into it when we have Trisha there, but how many people work together, conspire together to destroy a child's life. That's kind of what I felt when I read the book. I don't know.
That's what it felt like. Well, it was a lot of perhaps even people who were well-intentioned, but they just didn't know how to deal with her. Like school teachers, for example. I certainly went through that. Teachers who don't know how to deal with a child who's artistic or maybe has ADHD. The brain works differently and they don't know how to approach this. They certainly didn't know how to approach the young girl.
That's very, very true. Well, have you been, if you want to take a moment, say hi to everybody that's here, and then we'll go.
I've got a problem here. We've got a new system here. Oh, wait, here are the comments. Here, I was just going to say I can't see the comments, and then I clicked the button here. Okay. We have a new delivery system here, and I'm adjusting to it. Basically flying blind in front of all of you right now, but we have, of course, our wonderful Joel Tilson. Oh, Joyce. Hi, Joyce Petras. She's my very good friend. And we have Barbara here and Kay Travel Tarot. Andy is here. Hi, Andy. Let's see. I don't want to repeat names here. I'm scrolling past some of these here. Seeing a lot of the same names. I wonder why. Let's say, okay, Kimberly. Hi, Kimberly. And we have Kelly and
Never too late to dream.
Never Too Late to Dream. Hi,
Mhm.
Marsh and Gigi. I love that name, Gigi.
And K Travel Tarot is here.
And Renee. Yes, I see K Travel here. I'm just scrolling through here, trying to get past the repetition. And again, it always feels like that woman in a romper room holding up her magic mirror. You know?
Well, you're like a magic mirror. Yes, you're very lovely that way.
Oh,
Well, let's go into it. Today, the New York people are going to decide a new mayor. What do you think about that, my friend? Huh?
oh. Now, how did I miss that news story?
I missed it too.
Yeah, when did this come up?
My subscribers reminded me today. It looks like Andrew Cuomo is against Zoran Mamdani. And of course, Zoran Mamdani is a democratic socialist. So we like that. Those of us who want democracy for all. And then Andrew Cuomo, there's good things about both of them, and there are problems with both of them. Andrew Cuomo, of course, has had his own problems with scandal, sexual harassment, etc.,
Yes.
corruption. And then now Zoran Mamdani is being accused of being an anti-Semite,
Oh my God.
supporting Iranian terror. I take it all with a grain of salt, but who knows? Politics is so dirty. What do you think, Chuck? Can you
Do I think
anything that comes out about this?
do I think politics are dirty? Well, let me think on that one. Yes.
Yes.
No, I have to confess I haven't been following this race. And when I saw the news story pop up here, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm properly prepared to talk about this either way. But certainly I always liked Cuomo. But yeah, he's had his share of scandals. And as far as his opponent, Whimsy, would you already addressed some of the issues with the opponent. I do, like being accused of being an anti-Semite.
Yeah, I mean, can't we just get people in there that aren't crazy? I mean, it just seems like
It's politics.
Does it have to be either a racist or a pervert? Can't we just get some? I mean, what is the problem? Why is this so difficult?
I don't know, but that certainly has become like the new normal ever since Donald Trump came in, it seems. It's like new subsequent candidates are getting just as outrageous and crazy also.
And of course, we have the ongoing feud that is beginning to take place both in the party and from without. Now we have Thomas Massey out on an island. You want to talk a little bit about what you think of this potential civil war that's taking place in the Republican Party?
Well, it was interesting today when I read the news story. They actually used the word excommunicated. President Trump communicated Congressman Thomas Massey from MAGA. It was after he dared to criticize the president's decision to bomb Iranian nuclear facilities. In other words, he's not on board. He's not on the same page. He's showing disloyalty to Trump, and we know Trump does not like that. But I've never seen legitimate news services actually use that word excommunicated from the MAGA party, put it that way.
And why do you think they were using excommunicated? Like, is that the way we punish somebody who says the emperor has no clothes? See, I don't like this. I mean, even if I don't like this idea that you're a bully and it's some kind of a cult. And if somebody breaks away and says, you know what, I don't agree with that, you have this this is like the Hatfields and McCoys, isn't it now? Is that what it's turning into?
Well, actually, it seems far more serious than that. It's almost like not showing loyalty to the Führer, to Hitler, to Mussolini. Trump just increasingly is trying to become a dictator. And, he's acting like one. He expects this allegiance to him, like, people bowing down to him and so forth. So maybe that's why strong words like excommunicate are being used now. It's far more dramatic.
And of course, he's not the only one that is having problems with Trump at this time. That's part of the base. We have also seen from all this different tension, a lot. I hate to sound like I'm a buzzard waiting for something to die, but
Yeah.
let's talk about Marjorie
Oh,
Taylor Greene for a second.
I know. At first, I want to say, do we have to? Do we have to talk about that woman? But yes, she. Yeah, because there's a lot of controversy because
I always think of like monkeys when I see her face because
you're being kind. People have
or
said
or,
much.
or insulting monkeys. I can't
Yeah.
because she always seems to be jumping up and down like a monkey in a cage.
Well,
Like I shouldn't
yes.
say
Yeah.
that, but
Remember uh Biden's final State of the Union address? She was up there, woo, woo, making faces and wolf whistling and just acting like an ass, frankly. But
yeah.
yeah, she attacked Fox News.
Wow.
She
Oh my
said
God.
about the host Mark Levin. She called him the screeching host at Fox News, claiming
Oh
the
my.
right-wing network is scaring viewers to increase its ratings. Imagine that. And she was appearing on the Matt Getz show, and Greene stepped up and said the MAGA Civil War. She stepped up the MAGA Civil War by laying into people and questioning different people's loyalty to Trump. And Greene has come out opposing the bombing.
Okay. All
She
right.
said, she told CNN, I got elected on the exact same campaign promises that President Trump got elected on. We promised no more foreign wars, no more regime change. So it's interesting that even she's not quite bowing down and showing her allegiance. And I wonder what the consequences are going to be to her.
Do you think in a way they have a point that, can America just disengage and just let other countries get a nuclear bomb and destroy each other? I mean, like,
Oh, of course not.
I just don't know what the right answer is or how people feel about this. I mean, on
Yeah.
the one hand, 500 ballistic missiles. The other thing is that they were firing on U.S. troops. Iran has, of course, killed hundreds of U.S. service people
Mhm.
over the years. So
Yeah.
we have been at war with Iran since the 1980s. Even before that, since
Even before
1970.
that, Shah of
Yeah,
Iran and the hostage situation.
but they were behind the attacks of U.S. service people in Lebanon and Syria too, which killed hundreds in 1983, I think it was. So
Yeah.
this is not really a foreign war. That's the only,
No.
this is their death to America. They're killing the Houthi when they are also part of the proxy. The greater Iran is funding the Houthi. They were pirates. They were like old day pirates. They were jumping on
Yeah.
U.S. ships and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how people feel about it. Do they, do we wait while they get more and more aggressive? At some point, also, are we willing to continue paying these high inflation rates because the straits are not safe? People are attacking
Yeah.
the ships that are coming out of the straits by the Houthi, by Iran, and complaining about inflation and not understanding that if you don't have a safe trade route, you're not going to get
Yeah.
cheap trade.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you've addressed this before on previous shows. I think we've even talked about it, about how that's the bottom line when you're affecting world finances, when you're affecting trade routes. That's like
Yeah.
the ultimate sin. And
Yeah.
let's face it, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not the brightest light bulb in the box. She commonly makes very superficial statements like this, very trite. I don't know that she really gets the full consequences. I think she's more about loyalty to Trump. That's why it just drew such attention when she dared to actually criticize his actions, the bombing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, how did that make you feel when you saw that?
Well, I'm
About
Israeli,
Marjorie?
and I have personally been bombed, by the Houthi when missiles were coming in, and I shot it
Yeah.
live. Did you see me getting bombed?
Yes. I saw the
So,
video where the air raid
yeah,
sirens were
air
going
raid
off.
sirens. They bombed near yesterday. 4 people were killed, 10 wounded. The Iron Dome is not foolproof, and when you're the one getting bombed and they're like, we're going to get nukes, it just takes one to get through, and goodbye Israel, and you're there, you have a different perspective. And that's what
Certainly.
I want people to understand, is when it's on your head and you're like, God, I hope this one doesn't have a nuke in it. And
Yeah.
and they're they've got enriched uranium. The type of enriched uranium that they were developing is not for peaceful means. It's for one purpose only, to build a nuke. So what do you do in a situation like that? We tried to pay them, we tried to bribe them, and they used the money just to build up their own military. So what do you do then? So
Yeah.
the question I'm saying to people is, what do? We can't lie down and die. We can't continue to have them take over the straits and attack U.S. service. I mean, like, what do you do? And
Yeah.
so I like this in the sense that it took years and years of planning to take out the IRGC and the Ayatollah's leadership. And now we are saying to those IRGC that are part of the revolution, they're basically turning around and killing their comrades. They're killing anybody who is part of the old regime. So the revolution is happening. The IRGC is taking over the IRGC. We talked about Raisi. Remember when Ibrahim Raisi was assassinated, or Ibrahim Raisi died in a helicopter crash, right?
Oh, yes. Yes. And didn't you theorize that the pilot might have been poisoned?
It was a weird remote. I went into trance about it because I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on, because I thought, that's an awful strange coincidence, since this guy was a religious fanatic who loved Hezbollah, and a lot of the money and a lot of the support that was keeping the fight going was coming from Ibrahim Raisi. And so if you were inside of Iran and you were trying to build the new Iran and get rid of the religious extremist, the fear they had of the VP was that the VP was next up, that when Ali Khamenei died, this young guy was going to come in, and he was going to be a younger version of the same horror. And so for that reason, IRGC may have put poison. It would have been very easy, because it could get cold up there. You're in a helicopter, the heating is not that great. And so I put myself, as a remote viewer, I put myself in the situation. You've got your coats on, you're up at about a couple thousand feet. It's freezing cold. You're in the mountains. Everybody has a coat. You get to a steady altitude, and then you open up the thermos of tea that was given, and then everybody's served a cup of tea, and you start drinking the tea. So then when I put myself in the shoes of the pilot, we're drinking the tea, and the weather was a little weird. Maybe I felt at first a contraction in my stomach, like ouch. And it was like the kind of thing you would ignore, but then it started heating up my body. I felt my body start to flush. And then it got strong. At first, it was just like, oh, I must have eaten a bad sardine, right? But then it got worse and worse and worse. And then it came up to my throat like this. There was this heat that came up to my throat. And I was like, I don't feel so good. And I think at that point I had a heart attack.
Oh my God.
And I slumped over, and the whole thing went this way and went into a mountain.
Yes.
So then I stepped further, and when they retrieved the bodies, everything was smashed up, fire, etc. And they said they inspected the remains, and they found there's nothing wrong with the helicopter. It must have been bad weather. And I also saw that because I am a religious Muslim, they're not going to do an autopsy on me. It's going to take a lot for them to start chopping up my body. Haram, unless absolutely necessary, there's no way. So they simply said, look, this was an accident, let's bury him. And so it was the perfect way of eliminating. So this is the first thing that happened in Iran, was that they got rid of the extremist, and then they had open elections for the new VP, and the new VP was a liberal, right? So they had open elections, and people said, oh, he's He's not going to. Mohammed Reza Arif. Is that his name?
I'm not sure.
Oh, no, is that the new one? VP of Iran, who was a liberal. Mohammed Mokbar, and then he resigned. So what was interesting about this guy, I'll try and get his, I think that is his name. Iran liberal resigns. Let me see if I can find it that way. What his official title was. Liberal, he was liberally elected. Yeah, so the Iran's liberally elected resigns, and yeah, so what happened is that a lot of people just started quitting. I don't think it was the VP. Iran leader elected resigned, and it was interesting because, yeah, here it is. Mohammed, yeah, that's who it is. So what appears to have happened was that he may have been part of the coup, in the sense that they set it up knowing the will of the people, knowing that the people wanted a moderate in. First, they got rid of that guy through questionable means, and then they bring in their guy, right?
Yeah.
So he resigned from the government, saying he has been instructed to do so by an unnamed senior official. The point is that when the war breaks out in Iran and it looks like the supreme leader is finished, all of a sudden this liberal who got voted in, who's a moderate voice, making it look like a soft coup, all of a sudden he's sending a message. I'm not part of these people. What is he sending a message to? He's sending a message that he's part of the new IRGC that is leading the revolution. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So he resigns. I'm not a target. They've killed 500 IRGC and Iranian leadership that is associated with Ali Khamenei. So now this guy's like, nope, I'm not with them. I'm a liberal, remember? So it just, for me, was further proof that this guy was in on it.
It certainly sounds that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to mention before we go into the Empath's prayer?
No, I was going to mention, did you hear Donald Trump say the F-bomb today?
Yes, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, okay, I should leave it to you then. I didn't know when you wanted to talk about that, but I was like, in my lifetime, I'm sure none of us have ever heard a sitting president use that word.
I heard Truman was pretty raunchy.
Well, in private, like remember with Nixon when the Watergate scandal broke and they released all the transcripts. Remember, expletive deleted.
Right.
No, we've always known our president swore, but I've never heard a president speak to the press publicly on camera and drop that.
Truman's affair with Gloria Swanson, where she was staying at the guest house thinking it was like a normal situation. Nice dinner, goes to stay. She falls asleep. Somebody's getting into her bed and she hears that familiar drawl of Truman. Scoot over for your president. She's like, okay, she writes, I guess I've got a new lover.
Yeah, I tell you, Whimsy, I'm pretty good with old Hollywood stories, but I've never heard that one. That's good.
Yeah.
So I always love it when you combine Hollywood and Washington together,
It's a little messy.
In the same bed,
Literally. Oh my goodness. Yeah, roll over for your president. All right, let's bring in the Empath's prayer. And if anyone would like to receive a healing for yourselves or for those you love, we can certainly include you in our prayers today. So without further ado, let's come together as a one community and let's Hail in the Empath's prayer. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively, we say, Amen.
Amen.
And for those of you who have requested a healing today, we come together as a community and we pray. We pray that you receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and spirit. And again, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed. Yeah, crazy love affairs. My goodness, too many crazy love affairs. Well, let's.
I was
Go ahead,
thinking
honey.
that saying politics makes strange bedfellows. But anyway.
Right. Okay. First thing coming in from the beautiful Joel Tilson, but we also want to give a shout out. We have a new member. Did you see who our new member is?
Who is our new member?
Just started. James Clark. James
Well,
Clark.
hello, James.
He's
Welcome
got, and he
aboard.
has a beautiful pentagon. What is it called? Pentacle. Pentacle. Yes, the pentacle.
Tentacle.
Yes. Yeah, very pretty. Okay, so Joel Tilson writes, reports of clashes with the IRGC troops and civilians throughout Iran today. You want to check and see any feeling you're getting about the civil war taking place in Iran?
Mm.
I see a cat behind you.
Oh, yes.
Looks like she just finished her lunch.
Did you, Sasha?
God, what a beautiful cat. She's getting fat like my cat.
Oh, they're happy cats.
That's true.
Okay, I got to concentrate here. So.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'm not getting a conclusive answer here. I'm getting descriptions of what's going on, but I'm not trying to.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll go first. So the first thing I see is a Four of Cups. And so there's this refusal. You know, Four of Cups is no, we will not back down. So the IRGC, the pro-Ali Khamenei parts of the IRGC are fighting back. They don't, they are, no, we will not bow to the protesters. Four of Cups is, no, we're not going to listen to Donald Trump. So this is getting to be a little bit, but you can see here the wish has been granted for the protesters. So that is why the Shah's son is speaking with such confidence, because this sleeper cells basically in the IRGC are rising up and assassinating the enemy. And so you can see that they get their wish, hopes and fears. It was planned for a long, long time. You can see the mastery card. And then the family is reunited, 10 of Cups. There are dissidents that have not been able to go back to Iran for 40 years, over 40 years. So this idea of a 10 of Cups coming in is like the uniting of the family. So I think it's only, we're not going to wound them and let them get pissed off and come back again. They are going finish the job, and we're going to finish the job with the help of the people that are on the ground, and they're going to have freedom. They're going to have freedom from this. What do you see?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get something conclusive here because I was getting something similar, discontent, denial over truth that needs to come up, decisions. This is an obvious one. Competition. That's why I was trying to see where I could go further with this. But I also got new beginnings, epiphany, new ideas. But ultimately, I took hope in this card. Rest, the dove of peace.
Yeah.
I mean, Whimsy, do you get that yourself? That
Yeah,
ultimately this is leading to peace.
Yeah, because 10 of Cups, like the is a joyous card. We go off the 9th cup to find the 10th.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel
So
good. It is ultimately going to be good, but there's a lot of complexity to get there. That's what I kept getting in these cards. And I thought, well, what is this trying to tell me?
well,
I
other
love Dove of Peace.
yeah, me too. That's the Ace of Cups. You know, it's interesting in the sense that there's nobody in the Middle East. No, everybody hates this guy. Even Putin didn't rescue him. Even Putin wants this guy gone. China's like, you better get the hell out of there. China threatened them. It's like, yeah, I'm going to help America. Like, everybody hates this guy. People are like, oh no, China's going to come in. Yes, we're going to help mop him up. He's a disaster. So he made no friends. Next
Not
question.
a good thing. No allies, you know.
No allies at all. Next question coming in is coming for Joel Tilson. Do you think that Ali Khamenei is still alive? What are you thinking, Chuck? Do you think he's still alive and hiding in a bunker somewhere?
That's a good question.
Let's see what we got.
Whoa. I mean, I already got 2 cards right off the top here. I haven't read any further, but I got deceit and survival. Now, I don't know what that means, but let's see.
Well, it could be that the IRGC puts him under house arrest so that he can be tried, which is much, much better. You know, when you look at the data, we don't want him dead. We want him to sit trial. And that is what the Shah's son said. You'll get a fair trial, which is more than you did for us.
Yeah.
There's the clashing. Look at that 5 of Wands moving into opposition.
Wow.
His guards are fighting in hand-to-hand combat to keep him from getting killed. That's what I see. I mean, the guards are at the gate. Yeah.
I just have to show you real quick. Look at this card. Solitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tying in with what you're saying.
I'm sorry. Were you
sorry to interrupt you? I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I might have interrupted you.
No. I just said as you were saying that, this card jumped out of the deck. Solitude. I think he is being held in solitude, being protected.
Yeah, it feels to me like this is him, by the way, the Dark King, right? So he also holds the money. So he must have been keeping his people in poverty, or this is also the guy who holds the money. There's fighting. It feels to me like the IRGC that joined the revolution are knocking at the door. Hand him over to us. And his own guards. That's what it looks like. That he's about to be captured. 5 of Wands is his opposition. They're like fighting at his front door. His hopes and fears. The Queen of Wands, you know how territorial she is, man. She comes in my space, damn it, I'm taking this damn country. And look, King of Cups, that's probably the Shah, the peacemaker comes in. I think they're going to take hold of him. I think that the people that are part of the revolution are going to come in and take him and hold him. And that is don't kill this guy. Let him stand trial. If you kill him, he dies a martyr.
Yeah.
Let him be in an orange jumpsuit while everyone laughs at him and they talk about him, how many children he raped. Have you seen the film footage of him touching children? And it's not AI. Tongue kissing babies. I mean, this guy is a real pervert.
Yeah.
And he justifies it in his book. He says it's okay, you can do it. It's permissible. I mean, this guy's a real sick puppy.
Yeah.
But this is the new leader. King of Cups is coming in.
There seems to be a value, quote unquote value, in seizing someone like that and then humiliating them in front of the world. I'm thinking back to Saddam Hussein when he was captured and we saw him in his prison garb, and wasn't there footage of him being led to his execution? I mean, it was deeply, deeply shameful and humiliating for him, and that was the intention.
Yeah, it was. This is not a leader. This is not a hero. This is not somebody, I mean, the world got to see who and what he really is. And he was no longer in his flowery robes. I
Mhm.
speak for God. No, you
Yeah.
don't. You're a pedophile. You're a pervert who's
Yeah.
on a power trip so that you can. Also, he was evidently mismanaging funds, which is something that I didn't know about. But that would explain why there's so much poverty in an oil rich country. He was keeping it for himself and his friends
That would make a lot of sense.
because he's the perfect narcissist. He speaks for God, so everything he does is of God. How's that for a narcissistic trip?
Mm-hmm.
All right, this next question coming in for Joel Tilson. What happened to the Iranian? Iran's 900 pounds of missing enriched uranium. Is it missing? And if so, where is it? Did they take it to Pakistan? Pakistan has the bomb. Pakistan may be their only friends. Pakistan shares a border. Or did they take it to Russia? Let's take a look.
I don't know if I'm using the right kind of cards to read on something like this, but I'm just intuitively feeling like things were removed. They were taken out. Things are in hiding. Like not as much was as lost as U.S. and Trump would like to think with the bombings. Like things were removed. Do you feel that, Whimsy? Like maybe a lot of the nuclear materials were transported elsewhere? I'm getting that sense, but I don't know specifically.
Because King of Wands is war. He's space, he's entrepreneurship, and you have that Four of Cups coming in. This is the opposition, and then you have the Magician, which is the power. So yeah, they were able to move the uranium.
I'm feeling that strongly.
Look, they knew we were they were planning on taking Fordo. No, Trump and no, it's finished.
Yeah.
The US is right over them. So even if they steal it, spies in the IRGC will take hold of it. It's not going to last. Also, there's a Queen of Swords over the situation, which is truth coming out, the opposition being the devil. No, even if this regime is over, Trump is right about that. Because they're sitting back and they're letting their spies and their sleeper cells finish the job.
Yeah. Well, in fact, when you said the other day that this had been likely planned for years, I'm sure others knew about this as well. And so everybody was anticipating this.
Yeah. Interesting. That's interesting. So they did irreversibly damage it. The way that a bunker bomb is that it pierces, it punches a hole.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to the bottom 100 feet, then it explodes. So it's not supposed to explode on the top.
Yeah.
It exploded a couple 100 feet down. So it was pinpoint accuracy. They did a very good job. I actually agree with Trump on that people don't understand the way these bunker bombs work. But I don't think there was anything. You're feeling like there was nothing there at the time, right? Me too.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm getting that at least enough was moved. Transported somewhere else. I'm getting that not nearly as much was lost.
Yeah, and
there was hoped for.
Yeah, and they also had evacuated the area, which I think was kind of interesting. Yeah. Okay, Joel writes, Trump still following Putin's orders over Iran and Ukraine. As many people know, phase 4 is the dismantling of the removal of Putin, house arrest, or, in The Hague, I would like, but they're probably going to do house arrest if they follow the phases of the computer.
Siberia.
What the computer punched out. Yeah. I just asked the Colossus, how do we end this? And how are the least amount of people die? And the results of the computers is it's going to go on and on and on unless there's regime change in Russia and Iran. So, how do you do that? It would have prevented World War III. Now the big nuclear threat, once Putin is gone, is no longer going to be Russia. It's going to be Pakistan.
I was shocked the other day. I saw some little thing on Instagram or something about the amount of nuclear weaponry each country has. And I was just astounded how much Pakistan has. I honestly had no idea. I forget what the numbers were.
Yeah, so and they share that border. So the logical thing to do would be to send it over to Pakistan, which has nukes and wants to nuke India out of existence. So this is why President Obama said that he's kept up at night by Pakistan.
Well,
So say Iran falls, no problem. We'll take our crazies over to Pakistan and our nukes over to Pakistan.
what's interesting, you just said that, because on that same thing I saw about Pakistan, India is not far behind. They have one of the largest nuclear arsenals in the world. So
Yeah.
that could be one hell of a confrontation.
It's really interesting to work with computers that have so much data, but according to the data collected by Colossus, the most dangerous man alive is Vladimir Putin,
Really?
and the most unstable government right now between the two. That's why I was surprised that, like, when I looked at what the Colossus was saying, it's like, I think I know what the world's going to do, like world leaders, because I asked the right questions, right? Ask the right questions, you get some interesting answers. But it's interesting that Gaddafi is falling before Putin, given that objective reasoning, he is archenemy number one. He's got a load of nuclear weapons. He's got no stopgap. He's mentally ill. He's already firing at Ukraine. He is a loose cannon, Putin.
Oh, yeah. How did Trump rank on that listing?
Well, I did the data in December of 2023, so he was no longer in power.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
I'd be curious now what it would show.
I don't even, I'm terrified to go back in.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, it was under Joe Biden that I collected that data. So, yeah. I was like feeling really damn good. We had Biden in the White House.
Now we've got.
I wasn't going to ask about Trump. He's just some old man that came and went. Wrong. All right.
Back. Yeah.
Let's take a look at Putin and Trump's relationship. Putin and Trump's relationship.
Putin and Trump's relationship. Well, let's see here. Okay, I'm already getting a lot of ego here, but I'm still reading, but that's coming up. Well, I'm getting a lot of descriptive cards, but I think the way we phrased the question was, describe their relationship. It wasn't more an outcome, but just a description. Was that correct, Whimsy? Because that's what I'm getting. I mean, I was almost laughing a little at this because I was getting cards to me that indicate a lot of ego, like bravado, self-esteem. Some of this stuff is obvious. I know it's obvious, but competition. What I got from boredom is both of these men have short attention spans. They're easily bored. They're constantly looking for stimulation, excitement, drama. That's what I get from that. And then these are also shadow, shame, and deceit. Would you say that sums up these two men? But I'm anxious to see what you have.
It's so funny because you have this love affair, you have this, and then you have a heavy load as the opposition, and then Wheel of Fortune to the Hierophant. You know what song I kept hearing when I went into this energy? And so the time has come to close the final curtain. You must. I did it my way. The higher the Constitution. They're both out. They were both in violation of the Constitution of Russia and the United States. The higher ethos. They bow to the higher ethos. The heavy load. They have to walk away. And the time has come. So I think Trump and Putin are both out. They serve their purpose. Okay, you got rid of the crazy guy in Iran. Now you can both go. It's like, that's what I see. That Wheel of Fortune coming in. I did it my way. Like it's
I just find it interesting how they mirror each other.
yeah. Only Putin's a lot smarter. Let's face facts.
Well,
Yeah.
my cat is a lot smarter than Trump.
My coffee.
Mila.
My
It's a lot
coffee
smarter.
pot. It's time.
Your coffee.
You can time it. You calculate it, and then
Yeah.
you've
Yeah,
got fresh
even you can
coffee.
use your Bluetooth on your phone and turn it on. You can control. At least you can control your coffee pot. And you
Oh, that's
and
funny.
you get pleasure from your coffee pot. It makes your morning. It doesn't. Your coffee pot doesn't scare you to death.
That's right. Exactly. Oh my gosh. So, let's see what else we've got going on here. We got a lot of people here. 241 beautiful souls are here with us right
We're
now. Isn't
happy
that
to have you
lovely?
here. I think it's beautiful.
Okay, Anna Martinez. Hello, my love. Question. There was a posting on YouTube, not sure if it's true, but they said Russian soldiers are turning to cannibalism. This is freaking me out. Well, it's true in the sense that they are killing, and it's pretty gruesome, of a guy punching his senior officer, then threw him into the river and started drowning him, and then shot him. And some of this stuff gives me nightmares. So in the sense of, they are killing their own commanders and then fleeing the battlefield, and because they're not going to go to their certain death, and some of them are surrendering. And now Putin wants a vengeance upon them. But let's take a look at the civil war happening with Russian soldiers on the Ukrainian front.
And what are we asking specifically?
If it's true that the extent to which this is happening is real, I don't think they mean literally eating them, though. No.
I almost took
But
that
starving.
literally.
They don't have food. They don't have
Well,
food.
that's what I was thinking. They might be starving to death, and they have no choice but to commit acts of cannibalism.
Let's find out.
That's the way I took that.
That sounds
I
to me
took it
like
literally.
it's got to be a fake story. But let's find out.
I don't know.
Wouldn't you just surrender at that point? God, they don't even.
I would hope.
God, they fired Prigozhin because they couldn't afford him. Then they got a new person in for the food, which people said it was terrible. It was cheap. It was peas and rice because that's all they could afford. And now they don't even have that. You're on your own to find food. Who the hell's going to fight in a war when you're expected to feed yourself?
Yeah.
You got to feed your soldiers.
Oh.
God, it's so over. And this
Whoa.
is ego.
Yesterday, what I have 3 cards that came up: survival and suffering. But I also got the deceit card, Whimsy. And you said maybe that story is not true or it's been exaggerated. I'm getting it's not entirely true. There's some deceit there, but there's definitely issues over survival. There's a lot of suffering. I can pull more cards, see what else it tells me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deprivation. I think things are pretty bad. Like things are very scarce, supplies, food. It could be a desperate time. but I'm not getting anything conclusive here. I'm not, maybe because it's so disturbing to me, I'm not getting a conclusive answer, but I wonder if there's still something about the deceit card, like maybe that is the final answer. It's not 100% true. There's something apocryphal about this. I'd love to see what you have.
Well, Archangel Michael and the spies card is the Page of Swords. You know, the truth comes out, or the truth teller, that spying, or to get access to the truth or the information. But Archangel Michael is also the archangel of the Church of Ukraine, which has officially severed its relationship with the Russian church over this issue. So we have Archangel Michael's spirit lives in the people. And so what God or spirit wants us to know is that he works through the actions of human beings, through inspiration, song, through the soldiers, through people who fight for the truth. And so it's not just about miracles happening. It's our own, our own behavior is ruled by these forces. And you can see here the stopgap. It's over. Knight of Pentacles. So Russia cannot move forward, and Archangel Michael stands with the people. The hopes and fears, isolation, the hermit, and the final outcome is the constitution or higher ethos of the people. It looks to me like they were stopped. You know, Knight of Pentacles, they simply cannot move forward. It's the Putin's meat grinder. They cannot go forward. I'm not seeing cannibalism, but what I am seeing is that it's becoming increasingly Michael. The truth of Michael is over the world, that Putin deceived you, that that this war cannot be won. And we see the opposition, the Russians, are just bogged down. Knight of Pentacles can't go anywhere. So they're just sitting there, not able to move, starving, without adequate food supply. So they turned around and killed their own leadership and fled. Some kind of an investigation also into this. So it just feels to me like the truth is coming out. And then Hierophant, like I said, over a government is like the higher ethos, the constitution. Both Ukraine and Russia have constitutions, and they're in violation of the Russian constitution. So ultimately the constitution wins. The whole point of the constitution that Gorbachev wrote was one person, one vote, democracy, etc. And so there are so many violations of the Constitution that Putin has partaken in. The other interesting thing is Archangel Michael being associated with spies leads me to think that there were people from inside the Russian military that took them out.
Yeah. Well, you know, as you were talking, I was thinking the word cannibalism could be a metaphor for internal, like eating itself from within, destroying internally.
That's right.
And I think that's more of what cannibalism means. Even though when I first heard you say that, I took it literally to mean the soldiers were starving and they were eating each other out of necessity. That's why I thought, well, something about that did not ring true to me. And that's what I was getting deceit around that. Like, that's not a true story, but this makes much more sense. And it's the deceit of Putin that's being brought to the world
and causing this kind of self-implosion. Well, that was fun. That was a very nice blitzes we did today. I enjoyed those. Did you enjoy them?
I did. Of course, I always enjoy doing blitzes here with you and with everyone else. You know, it's
do you want to tell?
Sasha does too.
You want to tell our audience a little bit about our guest today? We have a guest.
Trisha, and forgive me, Whimsy, I don't know how to pronounce her last name properly. Makuchi. Thank you. I didn't want to embarrass myself there too much, and out of respect to Trisha, I wanted her name said properly. But it's a wonderful book, The Sunny Side of Crazy, and it's a story of I think a courageous mother and daughter, a daughter that was plucked from her homeland, stolen away from her mother, taken to America to a new mother, and this poor child just dealt with so much
she did.
trauma. And in order to survive, she started splintering off into other personalities, much like we do with our fantasy worlds, our imaginary friends. But many adults don't know how to handle this. Her mother was so well intentioned, but she didn't know how to handle it. Teachers didn't know how to handle it. And it's an amazing story.
Well, it's
And
such unusual behavior that, I mean, what I took from the book is that the behavior was seen as so unusual. What other conclusion could you have had? That the kid
yeah,
is lying, that the, I mean, or that,
yeah.
I mean, that the child is being intentionally difficult or something. Well, we'll talk about it. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Trisha Micucci, author of The Sunny Side of Crazy. Welcome to the table, Trisha.
Welcome,
Thank
Trisha.
you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, Trisha, I guess one of the first questions is, tell us, why did you write this book? What compelled you to write this story?
There were two reasons, really. The first was that my daughter really wanted her story out there. She had for a long time been a member of the National Association of Mentally Ill. She'd been to many psychiatrists, psychologists, and she was aware that something was wrong with her. But it took 7 psychologists before we got one that could actually diagnose her correctly. The second reason was because there is so much misinformation put out by Hollywood that people that suffer from dissociative identity personality are, for some reason, dangerous. Anyone who has seen Psycho or Primal Fear is probably aware of what I'm saying. That, but in reality, there are many people who suffer from this particular mental illness that are not at all dangerous. They're just like you and I. They just happen to have several different ways of being.
Well, Trisha, if I could ask you right off the top, how prevalent is this in our society? How common is it?
I wish I knew exactly. Even the psychiatrists don't know exactly because, unfortunately, many psychiatrists and psychologists don't acknowledge it as being a legitimate mental disturbance. So it's hard to find a psychiatrist that has had enough experience to really deal with the issue.
I was going to say, to have the proper training to be able to recognize this.
Right.
Yeah.
Fortunately, her 7th psychologist had experience before and was able to diagnose her correctly. But it took a lot of therapy with a lot of therapists that did not know what was going on.
Yeah.
And that, I hear, is not unusual.
Really? Oh. Well, what are signs that might be there with the child, such as this, to look for anyone?
For myself, when she was very small, I thought she had imaginary friends. But as she got a little older, there were some patterns of behavior that were so distinctly different from another. And there were also physical signs. Only Michaela, the predominant personality, was left-handed. All the rest were right-handed. So there were certain signs like that to see. Even though people change in different situations, her changes were dramatically different from situation to situation. She would, for example, hated to have her picture taken. She hated it. But when the
A freeze. Hold on a second. There's a little bit of a freeze. Looks like Trisha froze.
Oh no.
There she is. She's back.
Okay. When the opportunity came for her to actually strut down a platform and model, she jumped at it. And yet she hated to have her picture taken. She hated to have people look at her. So there were different things that we would see at different times in the way her behavior would change dramatically. The biggest thing was that I thought she lied and didn't tell the truth, which was really a problem during her childhood, because I really thought she was a compulsive liar. And in reality, after she was diagnosed, I could see how she was telling the truth. And I have always felt bad about that.
Oh,
I
you
still
did the
feel
best
bad
you
about
could. You did the best you could.
it. We're beyond that. And now at this point, we have I'd say, pretty normal relationship right now. But so the reason I wrote the book was to get out word that these people are not all dangerous, and they have lives, and their lives can be fun lives. There's a lot of craziness, but there's also a lot of sun comes in.
Yeah.
After she went to the right therapist, we found the right therapist. He gave her options, and that surprised me greatly. He told her he could help her to learn to manage her personalities better, or she could integrate her personalities. And that the choice was hers. He would work with her either way, because she had become so dependent on these different personalities, and she truly loved them. She
Yeah.
could hand off when she was in trouble to one personality. When she was angry at someone, she could hand off it to someone else. And so she had become quite dependent on them. And she was in love with every one of them.
Mm,
So to make a decision to give that up was very, very difficult for her.
I would imagine.
Mhm.
But she did decide to go the route of integrating the personalities into one solid one. It took a long time. There were many times when the altered personalities pushed through and were not exactly, they felt they were dying.
Mm,
I would
mm,
think it would be threatening to them.
Yes, it was very threatening to them.
mhm.
And so the therapist tried to work very hard with her, understanding that these were parts of her. They were parts of her
Yeah.
real own personality, but they weren't distinctly different personalities. And so she had to integrate them into being one strong personality that could handle her own problems without becoming dependent on this one for this and this one for that. It took a while, but she did it.
Mm.
And
Wow. Wow.
I think a lot of people don't realize that those options are available too.
Mhm. I have a couple questions. If somebody in our audience thinks that they have this condition, what should they be looking for? Like missing time? Are there, like, say many people have regular people dissociate, like they'll zone out, at the lunch table. No, I got to get back to my class or whatever. What is the difference between regular dissociation and what you're talking about, and anything that would help our audience, either they or someone they love has this condition? What are we going to be looking for?
Well, when she was small, she would often talk about one of her personalities who was a boy. And she would talk about him. He was a really nice guy. I mean, he was a very sweet little boy. But she would talk about him, and she would say, he needs this, or he wants me to do that. So it was a little more than an imaginary friend. It was someone very close to her. And if she did something or got very angry, she would say, well, Sky did it, but Sky doesn't like those kind of things. So she did talk about these personalities. I was the one that didn't listen and merged them into imaginary friends. All little kids do that.
So was she misdiagnosed as schizophrenic? Is that, oh, you're hearing voices? Is it often misdiagnosed as something like
I
schizophrenia?
think it can be. She wasn't. They did diagnose, one of the therapists said he thought she was bipolar. She had several different diagnoses before they got the right one. Oppositional defiant child, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that if the child has imaginary friends that are more than imaginary,
Mhm.
that they have their own personalities that she can distinctly refer to, or he can distinctly refer to, if when so and so gets angry, they do this, they do that. It's very important. I think also that certainly the lying or the distrust of really trying to convince you that they did not lie,
Mhm.
and won't give up on that. Some children, they'll say, yeah, I took the cookie or whatever, if
Yeah.
you really pin them to the wall. She wouldn't. She would
Right.
not give up. Sky took it, or Sam took it, and I didn't. I don't
Wow.
know what happened to that. So there was a lot of that, really pinning her to the wall to try to get her to acknowledge what is truth and how it's important to be truthful.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can see where she was, and
Yeah.
it was a very difficult thing for her as well as for myself. So I think those are things. Her bonding was hard because she had attachment disorder, which is not too unusual with adopted children.
Yeah.
But she would bond with different people at different times for no reason. One happened to be a teacher that she liked, and I was called into the school because the teacher was afraid of her. She said, "This child is stalking me. I can't go anywhere without her turning up."
Oh my goodness.
She would attach herself to people and strangers for reasons I wouldn't understand. Whether that was her attaching, whether it was personality attaching, I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot I don't know about it, but I found out there's also a lot of therapists that don't know much about it. And my advice would be keep trying to find the right one. Look for someone who has had experience with dissociative identity disorder. Do research if necessary on the computer. Find out who has treated that particular type of mental disorder.
Yeah.
And don't.
She froze again.
Oh.
The joys of Starlink. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually takes a couple seconds to get knocked out.
Okay.
I am
She's
Go ahead.
back.
Well, basically, it's keep trying. Find someone who's had experience. Don't take the first diagnosis, and it can cause more problems than it solves.
You had mentioned the computer. I would imagine the internet has made it at least a little easier to research this and to find. And also, I was going to ask you, like, are there support groups for this? Like, even online support groups, like parents of children or anyone who's going through this issue?
She belonged to a group under the National Association of Mentally Ill, and that is a good place to go for resources. One of the best compliments I got on the book actually was from a person who read the book, who was a member of the National Association of Mentally Ill, read the book and said he cried through all of it.
Oh.
And that was the best compliment I ever got, because he said for the first time he felt someone understood.
Exactly. And we all just want to be acknowledged. We want to
Right.
be heard, every single one of us, and especially a child. I remember this myself. I was a bullied child, lonely, and I didn't have necessarily splinter off into personalities, but I definitely had imaginary worlds, imaginary friends. I knew how to step out of it, but at the same time go into it. It helped me to survive my childhood. I also, being an artistic child, being artistic, not autistic, and ADHD, I had many school teachers who just did not understand me. Well, the rest of the class got this. How come you didn't get it? That kind of thing. And as a child, it's such a helpless feeling, and I got that despair from little Michaela. But one thing I wanted to ask you, you said that, she didn't like to be seen. She didn't like to have her picture taken. But there was one part of the book where she went to Disneyland and she said she was like the star and she was relishing it and loving it. What was that about, do you think? How would you?
She would say that that wasn't her. That was Sky. One of her
I see. That makes sense.
Was, as she grew older, Sky got her in a lot of trouble through the book because Sky was a very sexual aspect. So, but she would say that was Sky. She was asked to be in a fashion show wearing her kimono when she was little. And I said, no, she's too shy. And she got furious with me because she wanted to walk the stage. Yeah. And I think I wrote that many little adopted girls probably are the result of her walking down the stage and acting out. But she would say that was not me, that was Sky. Yeah. And I still hate to have my picture taken.
Wow.
So drastically different, one personality from the other. And yes, Sky got her in a bit of trouble, which is why she finally ended up with the correct therapist.
Well, good for Sky then. Sky ultimately served a purpose if it got her to the right therapist.
I think she and myself, we both we miss those characters. I have to be honest. Occasionally, I miss little Sam, who liked to cuddle, and different. Many people said, "Why, since she had a attachment disorder, any other sides when she was young, why don't she?"
Oh, we froze again. Just give it a second. There's probably a storm coming in.
Am I back?
we are.
Back. Yeah, you're back again. Where are you, by the way? I think there's a storm moving in where you're
Actually,
at.
probably I'm in South Carolina.
Yeah, I think there's some bad weather coming in and a hurricane coming in.
Probably I'm just off the ocean, so the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, what part? I used to go to Myrtle Beach with my family.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach is lovely.
Hilton Head, just
Hilton Head, yeah. I love that area. I haven't been there for many years, but my
It's
childhood was there.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Every summer we would go there.
We have storms, however.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
it looks like your Starlink is getting a little messed up. It was interesting. My emotional thought, like I tried to put myself in the shoes of everyone. Chapter 13, Through a Mother's Eyes. My feeling is like I want to kill anyone that hurts my kid. Like my immediate response was almost violent. Like, did you ever want to find the people that did this to your baby and destroy? Because that was my first, like, the warrior in me came out. Like, you touched my kid, right? How did you resolve your own anger about what had happened to your child?
I think I focused more on the positive. One, as I wrote in the book, I was in my retirement then. I was ready to buy my horse. And when my friend called from Japan and said she had this little girl, my friend was a missionary there, and she had this little girl, 5 years old, that needed a home. The horse was gone, of course. But when I picked her up in Japan, I realized that it was her grandmother that really saved her life. It was her grandmother that got her out of the bad situation. So I really didn't think a lot about her dad and what had happened. And I didn't even know what had happened until she had a physical here in the States, and they said she was sexually abused. I wasn't.
Oh my God, I would just go insane as a parent. I don't know how you handled it.
I was not aware of that when I adopted her. And by the time I got back and she had the physical, they gave me a certification that it had happened before I adopted her, because luckily the doctor wanted it to be clear that it had not happened here in the States. But by then we were in the States. She didn't have therapy when she was real young to discover that, because she didn't speak English. And I could not find a therapist who could speak Japanese.
Oh.
So that complicated matters a little more. I had to be a therapist and a mother, I guess. But that was a surprise. I've been back to Japan since. I have been tempted to try to reach her family. She has found out since, thanks to the internet, she has done her own research. And she has managed to find her family in Japan and find that she has a brother there. And she has found a lot. We talk about whether it's wise for her to contact them or not, but it has to be her decision.
Yes.
She has not done that yet, but she has to be the one to decide. But I personally, as a mother, I would prefer she not be contacting these people. I mean, I would prefer she not, but it's up to her.
It is. It is.
Wow. So we have a little time left. Trisha, would you by any chance do us the honor of reading perhaps from your
I
book?
would like to
Please.
read, and I will read a little bit about how she reacted, or when she finally got to the psychologist that was able to help her.
And
So,
if we would like to join you, would you tell us which page we're on?
yes, let me see. Page 143.
143.
All right, 143, everyone.
It's called The Private Sessions.
Yeah. This is the part I read today when I finished the book.
Yeah, she started with this new therapist, and she always disliked her therapist at first. Over the next few sessions, I participated just enough to remain Dr. Manning's patient. But by the seventh or eighth session, I found myself reluctantly looking forward to the next Dr. Manning's session. He didn't pry or pressure, and as promised, kept conversations between us. Unlike Dr. Gardner, he refused to go down the mom won't let me grow up path, even when I tried. Michaela, you can't change other people, so let's focus on you. The more we'd talk, the more I would see I had some control after all. Time passed quickly, and I found myself wanting to talk about my secret friends. 3 months into therapy, I brought them up. Dr. Manning, I keep secret journals. Would you like me to tell you about them? Would you like to tell me about them? No, but maybe I could let you read one. Do you write in your journals a lot? Yeah, all the time. I have lots of them. Journals are mom's go-to gift for every occasion. Sometimes secrets are hard to talk about. Yes, I'd like to read one. I think I missed a page here.
Mhm.
I sat quietly for what seemed like a long time. Finally, I asked him, have you ever had a patient with secret friends? As a matter of fact, I have. I wanted to ask if he thought they were crazy, but I was afraid. You know, Dr. Manning, I used to be someone else. I used to be a girl named Michiko, and I lived in Japan before I was adopted. I've been Michaela for a long time. Would you like to tell me what it was like to be Michiko? No, not really. I don't remember her very well, but sometimes I feel like I'm not Michaela either. I stopped expecting another question, but instead the doctor and I sat as if lost in our own thoughts for a long time. The sound of his tapping pencil brought me back, and I left wondering if I'd said too much. Would I really have the courage to let him read my journals? I stopped expecting another. Oh, I'm sorry. The next session, I put one down on the edge of his desk. He smiled, reached for the journal, opened it, and read a few entries. Then he gently closed it and smiled at me. If you don't mind, I'd like to read more and return it to you next week. Dr. Manning, I have secret friends who write to me and to each other in my journals. Would you like to tell me more about them, Michaela? I sat there for a long time before I could begin. Finally, I said, they have names. Their names are in the journals, but some of their writing is pretty messy. None of them are left-handed like I am. Sometimes they talk to me, I mean in my head. Maybe it sounds silly, but I know them and they know me really well. I guess you should know that before you start reading. You said their names are in the journal. How many secret friends write in your journals? 5. Michaela, do you think it would be possible for me to talk to one of your friends? Do you mean talk to them like you're talking to me? Dr. Manning smiled and nodded his head. I'm not sure. Maybe. If so, it would probably be Sky. I think she'd be the only one. Why is that? Because she's the only one that thinks you know what you're doing. So that is,
I like Sky.
Guy's outspoken. Yeah.
yes. Sky does come to visit the therapist. And when he meets Sky, I think that's what finally convinces him that they're entirely different, because Sky comes as her usual sexual self and know-it-all self, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the story, and it does bring him. He talks to some of her alters, and eventually she decides to integrate.
So fascinating. You know, you have a couple of comments here from those of you, if you want to take a moment before we close today, if you have a question for the author. We do always try to make sure that the audience has a chance. This will be your chance to talk directly to the author. Trisha. Sybil, we have the Sybil here. She says, coincidence, my first best friend, invisible to others, was also named Sam.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Rebecca L says, what a great discussion, Trisha. You bring such hope. The choice to integrate is remarkable. I am familiar with this disorder and its complexity. I must get this book. Thank you for writing it.
That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah. So part of this, I feel that it was the goal of this was to educate the general public, but I feel like this is also a lifeline to people that may themselves think that they have this disorder. Don't you think? Like what
Yeah.
drove you to write this? Was that it?
That was it, really. I had seen the movie Primal Fear and Mr. Brooks, which were terrifying.
Oh yes, Mr. Brooks was terrifying.
And that was part of it. My daughter wanted me to write the book. I've never written anything before, although I'm writing a couple books now. I hadn't done anything before this. I think I told you the biggest compliment I got was the young man who had read the book and cried all the way through it, which is,
Yeah.
I might be the only author who had someone cry through the whole book and consider that the best compliment, but I really do, because yes, if it will touch anyone who's dealt with this and help them in any way, that's just wonderful. It makes my daughter and I both feel so proud.
Awesome.
It could even save a life.
Yes.
That's what I was hoping. Yeah. So Never Too Late to Dream says very, very interesting conversation. So thank you for that. And the Civil says thank you and bless you.
Well, that's very nice.
Those are some of the
So-
conversations. Well, we're about ready to wrap up. Again, thank you so much, Trisha, for being
Thank
here.
you.
You said that you were working on some other books. Do you want to give us a little information about that?
One of the books is about living in Japan when I did. It's also kind of a fun book to read because there weren't many foreigners there at the time.
Oh,
And-
I'm going to look forward to that one. Yeah.
Oh, yes, and there's nothing like going in the public bath and meeting a man when it's supposed to be clear that has this tiny little towel around his privates, and you're trying to cover yourself with a little towel. But it's kind of a fun story, and I'm working on that, almost finished. And the other one is a novel about betrayal.
Oh, wow. That
is
sounds awesome. Rebecca L. says, I wish my aunt knew you. I will channel some of your love to her. She passed. And Kelly Bellinger says, thank you, all three of you. Trisha, could you possibly come back again when you're
Oh,
next
I'd love to.
out?
Yeah.
We very much enjoyed having you here.
Oh yes, it's so many questions
This
here.
could
30
have
minutes
gone
is not
so-
enough time.
This is like a teaser. All right. So, Chuck, any announcements that you have before we close out?
Oh, any announcements? I'm so enthralled just with this interview.
Yeah,
right
this was
now.
such a good interview.
But I have my own channel, the Chuck's Captivating Chronicles. I have a live stream on Mondays, Chuck's Captivating Chat, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Very different from this show. We talk about old Hollywood, Lucille Ball, I Love Lucy, whatever topics people want to bring up to be addressed. We just have a lot of fun on there. And I'm just working on some art projects right now and working for you. And life is good. Thank you.
And if people would like to have a consultation with you, also Chuck is a medical intuitive and he is a licensed physician's assistant under the naturopathic clinic I run. So any information about reaching out to you?
Well, you can see my name on the screen, Chuck Dransfield. So it's just Dransfield Chuck, one word, at gmail.com. That's the best way to reach me. And we can take it from there. It's always my honor to work with people.
Mhm.
My great
And
love.
he also does spirit paintings, which you didn't mention that, but he does channel people and paint them.
I do that. And that is also one of my great
Humble.
pleasures.
You're too humble. All right. And if you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can find the information below, book through Booksy. All right, everybody, we are done. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. And we will see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Thank
everyone.
you so much for the
Yes.
support. We truly
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right.
Yeah, we
Bye,
do
loves.
appreciate you. Bye-bye.